This is the News at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Ijoma Onyato.
Hello and welcome. Security operatives re-strategize to ensure safety of travelers on the Kaduna-Abuja Expressway following deadly attack by bandits. Police Commissioner leads team to assess situation. The President approves February 2022 for the much-anticipated National Convention of the All Progressives Congress. Coalition of NSAS groups allege attack on members demand full implementation of the Lagos State NSAS panel report. And over 20 civilians reportedly killed in what's described as an ethnic attack west of Ethiopia's capital, Addis Ababa. Plus, we'll have international news from our London studio.
On business news tonight, Flour Mills Nigeria acquires 71.69% majority stake in Honeywell Flour Mills.
On sports news tonight, Michael Carrick is relishing the privilege of taking temporary charge at Manchester United Football Club as the ex-England international takes the first training session of the Red Devils.
And from Abuja, arraignment of a former Minister of Aviation, Senator Stella Odua, over alleged 5 billion naira stalled as counsel asked Attorney General of the Federation to review charges.
A joint team of security operatives led by the Kaduna State Commissioner of Police, Mudashiru Abdullahi, has visited the scene of Sunday's kidnapping incident on the Kaduna-Abuja Expressway to assess the situation. Following that visit, the state police boss has ordered the immediate deployment of armed personnel vehicles and more operatives to the highway, while assuring motorists plying the road of their safety. According to him, security operatives have rescued 11 out of the unspecified number of those kidnapped in the attack, which led to the death of a former governorship aspirant on the platform of the APC in Zamfara State, Sagir Hamidu.
The quietest section of the Abuja-Kaduna highway, with vehicles traveling in peace. But just a little over 100 meters behind, the heavy presence of security forces raises eyebrows. In recent times, whenever they're sighted on this expressway, it usually is as a result of one reason: a recent attack by bandits. And indeed it is. On Sunday, gunmen commandeered the road and commenced their now regular activity of kidnapping commuters. Their mission was, however, disrupted by the police patrolling the area. The Commissioner of Police sheds more light from the report of his men.
These hoodlums came out around 4 and started firing sporadically on the computers. But fortunately enough, our men engaged them. Were able at least to rescue at least up to 11 victims. But I cannot ascertain the number of the commuters they kidnapped.
The incident, beyond the matter of kidnap, also recorded a loss of life in the person of a former governorship aspirant in Zamfara State. The Kaduna State government describes the attack as a setback.
We are sad with what happened. It's a setback, but like I explained, the security forces have assured us that they are going back to the drawing board and there will be a lot of some changes here that we will not want to talk about it.
Such measures, as explained by the Garrison Commander 1 Mechanized Division, are discreet. but will be effective.
We are going to deploy a lot of technology. I will not want to, give details on the form of technology we'll deploy. We will deploy a lot of technology to assist the ground patrols, in terms of getting information and even taking action sometimes.
The strategy on containing the bandits will certainly be intensified as commuters ply the roads, praying that the journeys are undertaken without incident.
An elderly woman identified as Lilia Dahiru and a young man identified as Isiyaku Abdul Kadir were two of those killed in the village, including 2 passengers who were in transit from Jibia to Bakiowa. The State Police Command has also confirmed that incident. Motorists along the Abuja-Kaduna Highway, the Chairman Senate Committee on Army, Senator Ali Ndume, is once again calling for increased funding for the military. Senator Ndume says the army is being deployed to fight an unconventional war and requires more funds for personnel and equipment. He was speaking to members of the Appropriations Committee before submitting the final 2022 budget proposal of the Nigerian Army.
One thing because of the situation we find ourselves in this country these days, where the army is drafted into unconventional war everywhere in 32 states, there is the need to really properly fund them. And therefore, there is an humongous increase in their overhead personnel, non-regular allowances as they call it. But the capital aspect of it, Mr. Chairman, is grossly inadequate. No matter what you do, if they don't have the arms, ammunition, then the war cannot be effectively prosecuted. So, in summary, we are here to ask for increase in the capital component of the Nigerian Army so that they will have the necessary resources and tools to prosecute the war that is they are engaged, unconventional war everywhere. Just yesterday along Kaduna Abuja axis, the gubernatorial candidate, former gubernatorial candidate of in Zamfara State, who was a protocol officer, and somebody that I knew was killed. So many people were abducted, even though there is increased cooperation, but we are at war, Mr. Chairman.
The President has asked African leaders to support First Ladies to advance peaceful coexistence on the continent. President Muhammadu Buhari, who noted that activities of bandits have led to widespread displacement and poverty, leaving women and children most vulnerable, also challenged African First Ladies to drive the processes of peace. He was speaking at the Conference of African First Ladies in Abuja, where Nigeria's First Lady, Aisha Buhari, emerged new president of the mission. Our State House correspondent, Gloria Umezuke, reports.
First Ladies of Ghana, Burundi, Congo, Cote d'Ivoire, Liberia, Sao Tome and Principe, Mauritania, Sierra Leone, among others, diplomats and top government functionaries converge on Abuja for the 9th General Assembly of the African First Ladies Peace Mission. Multiple challenges like terrorism, poverty, conflict, irregular migration, and the attendant breakdown of peace in the African region are pivotal at this summit.
You are a very powerful and influential group that can make a huge difference, that can help to deliver the Africa we want and the Africa we deserve.
The summit of the African First Ladies Peace Mission, which was last held in May 2015, appears reinvigorated with fresh enthusiasm, particularly as the First Lady of Nigeria is unanimously elected new president of the mission.
Let me at this juncture thank past First Ladies, particularly Her Excellency Dr. Mrs. Mariam Abacha, whose initiative brought about the establishment of African First Ladies Peace Mission. Let our involvement in this African project be guided by the AU agenda.
This meeting comes at an opportune time and underscores the need to generate ideas on the best ways to assist in mitigating conflicts and enhancing peace, security, and the well-being of all.
The war in Sierra Leone will not have been won without Nigeria. When we are together, we are stronger. When we are divided, then there is a problem.
Nigeria's president asked the First Ladies to advance stability on the continent.
The importance of this assembly lies in the fact that peace has become an elusive subject that affects development in many regions of Africa. I would like to reiterate the commitment of our government to the resolutions of this assembly, and I invite other African leaders to do the same.
In the face of existing challenges confronting Africa, the First Ladies seem more determined than ever to continue with this summit and improve on existing efforts towards achieving peace and development on the continent. From the Presidential Villa, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
A coalition of EndSARS groups has declared that the incident of the October the 20th, 2020 at the Lekki toll gate was a massacre and that all culpable perpetrators must face justice. The members are calling for the full implementation of the Lagos State EndSARS Judicial Panel report, among other things. While listing their demands at a press conference in Lagos, they also alleged attacks on their members. Our correspondent Millicent Walker reports.
Members of the EndSARS movement are alleging threats and violence against their members 1 year after the establishment of the Judicial Panel of Inquiry into allegations of police brutality in Lagos State submitted its report. They allege the assault on a star witness on the Lekki toll gate incident on October 20, 2020, Kamsi Soyo Chukwuibe on Sunday 19th November 2021 by 3 unknown assailants.
They told her that you see, we shot torchlight and now. They didn't come to rape her, they didn't come to attack her, they didn't rob her. They simply said, oh, should they want you people not to go ahead and not to continue. But you persisted. When you die, you continue doing the protest in heaven.
These witnesses who came out, mostly women, have nothing with which to protect themselves except Nigerian people. They have no means to police, they have no means to special security arrangements.
Other members of the movement at a joint EndSARS World Press Conference also allege threats, both verbal and non-verbal, on their members by persons known to the state government. They are asking the Nigeria police to immediately take action and arrest those who may be responsible for the attacks.
In spite of the fact that I am a man of some means and I could pursue my petition, nothing has been done till date. The lady that was attacked last night was one of those who were in safe houses. In this town, in a democracy, in a safe house. She was in a safe house all through the period of this EndSARS when it was really hot. October, November, December, January. I don't believe they were able to start coming out until about March. And she was attacked, and the source of the attack is not ambiguous.
And they are also making demands, some of which include the full implementation of the Lagos State EndSARS Judicial Panel report, that all officers, excluding Major General Omata and men of the Nigerian Army that were deployed to the Lekki toll gate on October 20, 2020, should be made to face appropriate disciplinary action, stripped of their status and dismissed. They also say the Lekki Toll Plaza be made a memorial site and renamed EndSARS Tollgate, among other demands. And in the meantime, the Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, has set up a committee to review the panel's report, which now has a few days left to deliver the white paper that will determine the state's next line of action. Millicent Walker, Channels Television News.
In part two, after the break, member of the Lagos State NSAS Judicial Panel, Ebonluwa Adegborua, raises alarm over his safety. Plus, the president approves February 2022 for the much-anticipated National Convention of the All Progressives Congress. All coming up in a moment. Do join us again. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, coming to you live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Security operatives re-strategized to ensure safety of travelers on the Kaduna-Abuja Expressway following Sunday's deadly attack by bandits. The president approves February 2022 for the much-anticipated National Convention of the All Progressives Congress. Coalition of NSAS groups allege attack on members, demand full implementation of the Lagos State NSAS panel report. And over 20 civilians reported killed in what's described as an ethnic attack west of Ethiopia's capital, Addis Ababa. A member of the Lagos State Judicial Panel on Restitution for Victims of SARS-related abuses and other matters and Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Ebonluwa Adegborua, has raised alarm over his safety. In a statement, Mr. Adegborua says since the submission of the report on the Lagos NSAS panel, he's been receiving threats and attacks by those he suspects to be agents of government. He says the government should be held responsible if anything happens to him. The statement reads in part, "Two prominent lawyers of the government have openly incited opinions against me on national television with mindless accusations. I have, however, refused to be intimidated or bend to the tactics of government to be silenced." Mr. Adegborua also notes that he only took on a national assignment to unravel the truth over the October 20th, 2020 NSAS protests and should not instead be targeted. The President has approved February 2022 for the National Convention of the All Progressives Congress. The Governor of Kebbi State, Atiku Bagudu, announced this after a meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari in his office, alongside the Chairman of the APC National Caretaker Committee, Governor Maimala Buni, as well as the Governor of Jigawa State, Abubakar Badaru. Following the President's approval, Governor Bagudu affirmed that the National Caretaker Committee will now work out other details regarding the convention.
The Progressive Governors Forum discussed the issue of National Convention of the party, and they mandated us to come and discuss with the President as party leader to give the inputs of the governors so that the party and the President will consider in agreeing a date for the National Convention. And yesterday, part of the input we got was that we still have 4 states which are in the process of completing their congresses. Anambra, understandably because of election, Zamfara, and 2 others that because of logistic challenges are yet to complete. So, and then Christmas is around the corner. And then early January we'll be very busy with Ekiti. So the governors, based on all that, made an input that we think the party and the President might graciously consider February, and President is favorably disposed, and I'm sure the party because the party, the chair of the caretaker committee was part of the delegation. He had that, and I'm sure they will conclude between him and the president. But we have made the input of the governors known, and it was favorably considered by Mr. President.
Meanwhile, the president of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, was also at the presidential villa, where he called on aggrieved governors in the party to engage with the National Assembly over the direct primary provision in the Electoral Act. He said this after a meeting with the president in his office. According to him, majority of members of the National Assembly unanimously took the decision to include the provision.
I always believe, and I've canvassed for this, that National Assembly members are major stakeholders, governors of APC are major stakeholders, and in fact, the presidency is a major stakeholder. In fact, that's the biggest stakeholder because it runs the administration. And our party must always try to bring everybody together. I don't think there will be any day that you will have a political issue that everybody will say the same thing about it, that agrees with you without any amendment. So when we have any section of our party disagreeing with something, we should be engaging. That's why we are politicians. You also know that we have legislations that are awaiting the consideration of Mr. President, and for us in the legislature, we have finished our job of passing the bills, particularly the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. It's now for Mr. President to engage with his assistants and those who normally advise him. We expect that he will sign, but how he does that, this is his calling, and I think we should allow him to just follow the processes he's used to, but the expectation of members of the National Assembly is that the bill is signed. On the current situation in the National Assembly, we are doing our budget, and we hope that by the middle of December or before Christmas, we should be able to consider and pass the budget by the grace of God. Work has reached a very commendable level as we expected on that.
Let's cross over to our Abuja studio now, and here's Linda Akigbe. Linda?
Hello, Ijoma. Good to see you.
You too.
To the judiciary now. The arraignment of a former Minister of Aviation, Senator Stella Odua, before Justice Iyangeku of the Federal High Court, Abuja, has been stalled. Now a senator representing Anambra North Senatorial District, Senator Odua was to be arraigned on a 25-count charge along with 8 other defendants, all of whom were present in court today. However, Odua and her co-accused could not take the plea because of an application by one of the defense lawyers, Mr. Ogu Onoja, asking the court not to go on with taking the plea.
Dressed in red, Senator Stella Odua and her 8 co-defendants are in Court 6 of the Federal High Court, Abuja, ahead of her arraignment by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission for alleged money laundering. The courtroom is filled to capacity as the co-defendants await the arrival of the presiding judge. The anti-graft agency had filed a 25-count charge amounting to 5 billion naira against the former aviation minister and 7 senator. However, the arraignment could not go ahead following a petition by 2 co-defendants, Crystal Television Limited and Sobora International Limited, in the criminal charges. Shortly after the defendants were called to take their plea, the co-defendants alleged that they are being persecuted by the EFCC. Counsel to the co-defendants, Mr. Ogu Onoja, explains that the petition is asking the Attorney General of the Federation, Mr. Abubakar Malami, to review the charges against them. The senior advocate of Nigeria informs the court that Mr. Malami had written to the EFCC chairman to remit the case file to his office for a review, adding that in disregarding, the EFCC refused to remit the case file to the AGF. He urges the courts not to go ahead with the arraignment until the petition has been resolved. However, counsel to the EFCC, Mr. Ofem Uket, denied knowledge of the AGF's letter, stating that as a staff of the commission, he was just seeing the letter for the first time. Nevertheless, The trial judge, Justice Inyang Ekwo, decides not to go ahead with the petition because it borders on statutory and constitutional matters. He subsequently fixed February 10, 2022 for adoption of written addresses, ordered the defendants to remain on administrative bail.
The Vice President is advocating increased funding for research in the nation's high institutions, as this is the only way they can be globally recognized. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo said this when he received a delegation from the University of Lagos Alumni Association, led by its national president, Dr. John Momoh, at the State House in Abuja. In a statement released by the Vice President's media aide after the closed-door meeting, the Vice President said the country should focus on putting more resources on research, especially scientific-based research. In his remarks, Dr. Momoh thanked the Vice President for his continued support and highlighted the association's plan to build an iconic 500-bed space hostel to tackle the housing deficit in UNILAG, as well as the launch of a webinar starting on January 2022, tagged UNILAG Alumni Live TV. When the news at 10 returns, Flour Mills Nigeria acquires 71.69% majority stake in Honeywell Flour Mills. That's in business news. Join us again. Welcome back to the news at 10, coming to you live from Abuja. It's sharing news for lovers of Ford cars in Nigeria, as Coast Charis Motors PLC offers a financing scheme for their customers. Speaking at the just concluded 21st Abuja International Motor Fair, the General Manager, Marketing and Corporate Communications, Coast Charis Group, Mr. Abiona Babarinde, says the company has an easy-to-pay system for her customers.
Coast Charis Motors PLC is participating in the 21st Abuja International Motor Fair, where it is showcasing its variants of Ford cars. The Ford Edge 2022 model is its latest, and it comes with fascinating features such as a 2.0-litre EcoBoost petrol engine, an 8-speed automatic transmission, dual-zone climate control, and intelligent access with a push-button start, among others.
This one of the companies Nigerians would love to at least promote their products so that we can have more investors of the like of Coast Charis.
We are very impressed. Ford is a very strong company, and very good that they are managed by a very strong company, determined company like Coast Charis.
According to the General Manager, Marketing and Corporate Communications, Coast Charis Group, Mr. Abiona Babarinde, customers can now own any of the Ford cars with ease of payment.
You come to Coast Charis Mobility, all you need to do is to pay 10% of the principal value of any of these variants that we're displaying here. And with that 10%, you have the opportunity to do a spread of the completion of the amount that you need to pay in total.
Driven by the desire to delight its customers, Coast Charis Ford promises value for money with its collection of well-designed and technologically advanced cars.
For us in Coast Charis, this is the time we can always bring our showroom, our Ford showrooms, to your doorstep. And here in Abuja, in the capital city, this is where we are also talking about fleet buyers, like organizations, government agencies that probably are even putting their budgets together against next year. So this is the time to come and see what you are even budgeting for. So for us in Coast Charis, this is the time for you to come and see the Ford you can afford and also close the year celebrating yourself.
With the slogan, Go Further, Coast Charis Ford has a vision of remaining timeless in relevance and value.
That's all from Abuja. Back to you, Ijoma.
Thanks a lot, Linda. Reckitt, the British multinational consumer goods company, makers of Harpic toilet cleaner, are teaming up with the federal government and other stakeholders to ensure safer and cleaner toilets in schools and local communities across the country. Joining the rest of the world to celebrate the World Toilet Day, the marketing director of Reckitt, Mr. Tanzim Rezwan, notes that 46 million Nigerians excrete openly, and this has impacted negatively on Nigeria's economic growth.
Reckitt PLC, makers of Harpic toilet cleaner, are joining Nigeria to mark the 2021 World Toilet Day at this event. The company is committing to help Nigeria end open defecation by 2025 by refurbishing public toilets and distributing Harpic toilet cleaning liquid to various communities across the country, a move applauded by UNICEF in view of the looming hygiene emergency in the country.
UNICEF can only do so much. It's down to you, it's down to the states, it's down to individual commitments to really want to end open defecation.
According to the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, over 3,000 people have died in Nigeria due to a cholera outbreak. As the nation ranks #1 in open defecation, with 46 million people openly defecating, almost half of that figure comes from the North Central, while no state in Nigeria is open defecation free. The federal government has a roadmap to ensure open defecation in the country ends in 2025, and the Minister of Water Resources is counting on partners like Harpic to make this a reality.
The most important thing about this open defecation business is that there should be no contact between the human being and the feces. That is #1. #2, to be able to have clean water around you that you can use to wash your hands after using the toilet, and also to keep the toilet clean.
For Reckitt, makers of Harpic, this is a challenge they are more than willing to take on.
We are working with federal government as well as some of the state governments. In different parts, we have already donated around 150 toilets, and also we have worked on 5 public toilets. We are also working towards making the product more accessible to the consumers so that they can afford the product and ensure the hygiene toilet. So we're working through some new NPDs, new products to be launched, which will be supporting the people to have access to the hygienic toilets.
This year, the theme for World Toilet Day is valuing toilets, calling for action from stakeholders to ensure clean and safe toilets for everyone. Only 70 out of Nigeria's 774 local government areas are open defecation free. Reckitt, makers of Harpic, are poised to do what they can to raise that number.
Let's take a look at some business news now. Here's Anne Waudu.
Banking, so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thank you, Ijoma. Hello and welcome to Business News. Let's begin with listed consumer goods giants talking about Flour Mills of Nigeria PLC. It has reached an agreement to acquire 71.69% stake in its rival Honeywell Flour Mills PLC in a deal worth 80 billion naira. According to a statement sent to the Nigerian Stock Exchange, the proposed transaction will combine the shared goals of both companies and create a more resilient national champion in the Nigerian foods industry, ensuring long-term job creation and preservation. It further mentions that the proposed business combination is subject to appropriate regulatory approval. Meanwhile, investors have reacted to the news as Honeywell Flour Mills shares rallied in today's trading. Schweppes has launched 2 classic variants, that's Schweppes Ginger and Schweppes Zobo. During the launch right here in Lagos, the managing director, Coca-Cola, Alfred Olajide, says the Zobo and Ginger variants ride on the back of Schweppes' history spanning over 250 years.
The ambience, the setup, and the guests at this evening's event is to typify the essence of 2 variants that Coca-Cola is formally unveiling to the market. Schweppes is launching for the first time anywhere its bold Zobo and Ginger variants, thereby putting a sophisticated spin on two bold yet classical Nigerian flavors. The event, which is attended by industry favorites, including the Schweppes ambassadors Sharon and Mike, are joined by Coca-Cola management to accentuate the uniqueness of the new Zobo and Ginger variants.
We believe in doing business in the right way, and we've gone through a lot of research where, this Zobo and Ginger have been produced from the finest ingredients and with the consumers at the heart. And a lot of these ingredients are locally sourced, and on this basis we're proud of the quality, the premiumness and the feel, the experience of the brands that we give our consumers.
Ultimately, what we want to do is whatever someone wants to feel when they're drinking something, when they're in a social setting, whether it's alcoholic, whether it's non-alcoholic, we just want to be their friend, right? So we're that friend who has like an immense amount of experience, over 200 years. We know you really well, or at least we think we know you really well.
Building on a 250-year-plus history, Schweppes says it has established itself as a cultural icon in the drinks industry.
One of the best combinations we've done. I'm so proud to be bringing it to the market with the Schweppes team, and honestly, you're in for a treat, especially throughout Christmas time. You can't pass it.
The perfect thing about Zobo and Ginger is it is us. It is created by us, and now we're taking it not just to Nigeria, but even to beyond.
I genuinely like herbal stuff. Ginger is a fantastic herb if you have like stomach upset and whatever. So if you're on the go and you're working and you're stressed and you genuinely want something that will just soothe your belly, take a can of Schweppes Ginger.
According to management, the two additional variants means Schweppes continues to straddle the line between the traditional and novel, thereby leaving its reputation as the ultimate mixer.
Let's head to the equities market now, which made a positive start for the week. The all-share index rose by 0.14% at the close of trade today. Will Ibong has the details for us.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. The past week has been a snooze for index investors, a dream for chasers of the trendy big growth stocks, and something of a nightmare for short-term players. But I think they can heave a sigh of relief. The all-share index made a slight advancement into positive territory, up by 0.14%, and increasing the market value by 31 billion naira. And that's thanks to FBN Holdings, O&O, Nestle Nigeria, and Honeywell Flour Mill. Trading activities were all in the green as volume jumped by more than 1,000%, while value rose by about 400% to 16.47 billion naira. Now let's check out the sectors where performance across key indexes was mostly positive when compared to Red Friday. Now with the news of the new acquisition deal between Flour Mills and Honeywell, stocks of Honeywell shot up almost 10% in today's trading session, adding 33 kobo to its share price to close at 3 naira 72 kobo. From the oil and gas sector, O&O topped today's trade with almost 2 billion units of its shares traded today. Now with positive opening on the first trading day, we can only hope that the market stays upbeat in the coming days. And that's the Stock Market Report. And Will Ibong is back to you.
We do hope that positive start is maintained. In the meantime, let's see how other markets around the globe fared at the close of business. And that's Business News Tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Anne Nwawadu. It's back to you, Ijoma.
Banking so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thanks a lot, Anne. Still ahead on the news at 10, over 20 civilians reported killed in what's described as an ethnic attack west of Ethiopia's capital, Addis Ababa. And more international news from our London studio. Please stay with us. Welcome back. Reports say over 20 civilians were killed in ethnic attacks west of the Ethiopian capital, Addis Ababa, over the weekend. The Liberation Army has been blamed for the attack, which was retaliation by ethnic Ahmas, causing further deaths, destruction and property and displacement as well. Here's Simon Pusey with more international news in Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. At least 5 people have been killed and more than 40 injured after a car ploughed into a Christmas parade in the US state of Wisconsin. In an eyewitness video taken by someone filming the parade, a red SUV speeds past. It's then thought to have careered into dozens of people, including a school band. It's thought the number of injured is likely to rise. One person is in custody, and officials say the incident does not appear to be an act of terrorism. The Women's Tennis Association has said that a call between Peng Shuai and the president of the International Olympic Committee does not address its concerns over the Chinese players' well-being. The IOC released a statement after the call with Thomas Bach, saying Peng appeared to be safe and well. And the Chinese Foreign Ministry said she had attended public activities. However, there is increasing concern about the 35-year-old who disappeared from the public eye for almost 3 weeks after she made sexual assault allegations against a senior Chinese minister. Australia, the United States and the UK have all officially signed the nuclear agreement that gives Australia access to nuclear-powered submarine technology for the first time. Australia's Defence Minister, British High Commissioner and the US Charge d'Affaires, Michael Goldman, all signed the documents at Parliament House in Canberra.
This is the first time that the US...
Australia's Prime Minister told reporters it was a hugely significant step. Dubbed AUKUS, the pact initially caused a major bilateral rift, with France recalling its ambassadors from Australia and the United States in protest. A summit between China and the Association of Southeast Asian Nations has been held without a representative from Myanmar. The virtual summit, hosted by Chinese President Xi Jinping, began without a representative from Myanmar, whose military overthrew the democratically elected government in February. The decision is unprecedented for a group of countries that emphasises non-interference in domestic affairs. Austria has returned to a full national lockdown as protests against new restrictions aimed at curbing COVID-19 infections spread across Europe. From midnight, Austrians have been asked to work from home and non-essential shops have closed. Infection rates have risen sharply on the continent, prompting warnings from the World Health Organization. Meanwhile, a partial 3-week lockdown has been imposed in the Netherlands. There have been continued violent protests since the announcement, which means bars and restaurants must close at 8 p.m. and crowds are banned at sporting events. Residents of a flood-ravaged town in western Colombia have salvaged what belongings they could from their homes after a nearby river burst its banks. According to local media, a total of 3,600 families were affected by intense flooding in the town of Medio Baudo. Crops and household belongings have been destroyed, with many of the residents moving to higher ground. Authorities will hold an extraordinary risk management meeting to discuss measures to be taken for the immediate relief of affected residents. Indian farmers have held a mass rally to demand minimum support prices be extended to all produce, not just wheat and rice. The protest movement, launched by farmers more than a year ago, became the most serious political challenge to the Hindu nationalist government and resulted in President Modi making the surprise move to roll back the reforms. Thousands gathered for the latest rally in Lucknow, the capital of Uttar Pradesh, where Modi's Bharatiya Janata Party will seek to hold on to power in state elections next year. After a century and a half hidden away in luxurious private collections and European museums, 13 Ethiopian artefacts have finally returned home following months of private negotiations. Many of the treasures were stolen after a 19th century battle between the British and Ethiopian empires. The items, which include an intricately latticed processional cross, a richly coloured triptych depicting Jesus' crucifixion, and an ornate red and brass imperial shield, are all part of the largest act of restitution in Ethiopia's history. And finally, K-pop band BTS were the big winners at the American Music Awards. The 7-member band from South Korea beat veteran Taylor Swift, rapper Drake and pop singer Ariana Grande for the night's biggest prize, Artist of the Year. Adored by an army of fervent fans, they were also named Favourite Pop Group and won Best Pop Song for their summer hit, Butter. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Lagos.
Many thanks, Simon. Michael Carrick says he's relishing the privilege of taking temporary charge at Manchester United after leading the Red Devils training session for the first time since the sack of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Carrick has the immediate problem of keeping United's Champions League challenge on track when on Tuesday night they face Villarreal in Spain. In the NBA, Detroit Pistons head coach Dwayne Casey is convinced that LeBron James is not a dirty player after the Lakers forward was ejected from the 121 to 116 points victory over the Pistons for an errant swinging arm that drew significant blood from the face of Isaiah Stewart. The incident took place in the third quarter when battling for a rebound after a free throw. And that's sports news. I'm Ayotunde Balukins. Back to you, John.
Thanks a lot, Ayotunde. And the main news again. Security operatives today began re-strategizing to ensure the safety of travelers on the Kaduna-Abuja Expressway following Sunday's attack on the road by bandits that killed a former governorship aspirant in Zamfara State, Sagir Hamidu. And that's the news at 10 tonight. Thanks so much for staying with us. I'm Ijoma Hunyato. Good night.